Good afternoon. I'm Mike Keeley, Chairman of the Public Safety Committee for Allegheny County, and we'll call the committee meeting of August 4th, 2021 to order. First order of business is a roll call.
Mr. Healy,
Here.
Mr. Dibble,
Here.
Mr. Decker,
Here.
Mr. Harris, Mr. Havey,
Here.
Mrs. Hopkins,
Here.
Mr. Crandall. 6 members present.
Having quorum, we'll proceed with the approval of the minutes for July 7th, 2021. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Decker, seconded by Mr. Harris. Any corrections? Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. First up, our department heads making their monthly reports is Barb Kelly, Public Defender. Afternoon, Barb. Any,
Submitted my monthly report. The trend of back to normal continues. Lots of cases, lots of work.
okay, any questions for Barb on her report? Mr. Barnes?
The number, obviously from 2020 to 2021, in fact, it's starting to open up again, but that's still a significant increase year to date of applications. What is COVID the only reason for that?
Well, that I would say would be the primary, yeah. I mean, with the court shut down, we didn't get criminal applications, for example, unless the people were being arraigned and possibly going to jail. So I would say that's,
Okay.
accounts for the difference.
Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Harris.
Thanks, Ms. Kelly. What's the current status of the counsel at first appearance mandate? Is that gone entirely?
Oh, absolutely not.
And
It's-
how is it being covered by your office?
It's being covered by the way we were trying to cover it previously. During the pandemic, there was a procedure for virtual arraignments. That is gone, the virtual. We can't do those virtually anymore. Everything has to be in person. The way we currently cover it is we ask to be called for any appearance that's what's called a qualified offense, which basically means bail can be set. Qualified appearances, and if there's a request for an order of protection. If it's simply an appearance ticket, we don't ask to be called. What we try to do and are trying to encourage the courts and the police agencies to do is to write appearance tickets for the nights that were already scheduled to be in court. That way, we can do the arraignment without unduly burdening anybody. Obviously there's, 35 or 36 courts that we have to cover. So it's impossible for us, as we're currently situated, to cover every arraignment, including appearance ticket arraignments.
So are you continuing to have 24-hour on-call
Yes.
staff?
And we are in discussions and hoping to move forward with discussions of, bringing back the possibility of centralized arraignment, just because we do have an obligation to cover, to be at all arraignments. And, that would be potentially the only way we could do that.
Is the DA's office in favor of that concept?
I haven't talked with them, but I will say they're very uninvolved in arraignments. They're not required to be there. At the most, they might get a phone call to ask what a bail recommendation might be. So,
Thank you.
but we certainly would include them in any future discussions.
Any other questions for Barb? Barb, anything you wish to point out or comment on yourself?
No, not in the monthly report. I think I'm good.
Okay, thank you.
The second thing on the agenda is a request to fill my position. As you may know, I'm retiring in October, and I think it would be a good idea if we could get somebody in place to take over as soon as possible.
Okay.
I'll move it.
Moved by Mr. Harris, seconded by Mr. Dibble. Okay, discussion. Madam Administrator, do you wish to comment on this?
Thank you. I had this request to fill prepared as I like to get this process underway. I've talked to Ms. Kelly for quite some time over this summer about how we go about doing this, and I believe this is the first step, is this request to fill, granting that, and then we'll put this out, post it, and see what we get back for applicants, and do an interview process with the board, and I can structure that process for the board. This is a board appointment. You are required to have a public defender. You did pass a local law in 1974 putting that mandate on yourself to have one. And there's been a number of state laws since then that would make it ill-advised to change that. So please appoint a public defender.
Okay. Mr. Barnes?
Is there anyone in the department that's interested or qualified?
Yes. There will be a qualified applicant.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Harris.
For Carissa, is this one of those that can do the subsequent backfills, or is that not something that you want to do with this?
I think I'd prefer not to put the subsequent backfills on this. I think I'd like to see the next public defender present their own plan on what they plan to do with the office. I'm assuming if it's someone from within the office, they'll want backfills, but I'd like to hear from them first.
Thank you.
Okay, and Barb, I want to say thank you for your many years of dedicated service. Although we've been on opposite sides of the fence a good share of that time, I appreciate all you have done on behalf of your office and how well run your office has been. And I want to thank you for all of that.
Well, thank you. It really has been my pleasure and an honor to serve as public defender. I've been in this office for 30 years and seen a lot of changes. I'm confident that, we can keep going forward with a good plan and a good program.
Thank you. All right, no further discussion. Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. Okay, Jeff Lucky, Emergency Management and Fire Director. Afternoon, Jeff.
Good afternoon. I'd just like to highlight a couple things on our monthly report. On 7/6, Bonnie met with the fair, did the IAP plan as usual. They had a great, safe fair thanks to the fair itself. The MTS with their involvement and our Sheriff's Department. Good, successful, safe fair. On 7/17, we did have a flooding event, as you can see down in the Bolivar, Richburg, Belmont area. Bonnie did go down that as I was still at the State Chiefs show. Result of that, we did put out a press release asking for SBA, Small Business Administration loans available. To qualify that, we need 25 applicants to submit with 40% loss of their structure or value. We've only had a few turn in, and I don't think anybody met that threshold at all. So we're still looking for information on that, and continuous counties if we still apply. So that one's still viable to possibly apply for, but as of right now, we don't have enough. And I haven't heard back from other counties if they have. Niagara County had a bunch, but you have to be continuous. There is no threshold, 25 homes, businesses that suffered a 40% loss. To go along with that, we did push out a press release on 7/28 again. Not so much a press release, but notified by FEMA, and we'd already been collecting already. The Alma area was the hardest hit as far as the Allentown School. They have about a $750,000 worth of damages there on 2 drainage lines. So we've more than met our threshold, which is 190,000. But in talking with the state, they've stalled out at probably only $10 million currently on the dates that are available. You need 30 million for FEMA to come in, combination of those two. So we're still collecting information that's available to submit up if something opens up a longer time period. But right now, the only dates available is this July 16th through the 19th is the only dates they're looking at, and there's nowhere near the amount of damage to meet that 30 million.
But that timeline could be extended down
Yes.
the road.
Yep, we've requested it, because we had some before that. A couple towns had another $100,000 damage before that, 2 days before. So we have requested they expand that out.
Thank you, Jeff.
That's about all I have. We're starting our EMT classes and firefighting classes again. We're able to continue that, and we're doing advanced EMT as well, so.
Okay. You getting a lot of volunteers?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, we're good number turnout.
Any questions for Jeff on his report or anything else? Hearing none. Any other comments from you, Jeff?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next up is District Attorney Keith Slepp's office, and once again, we have his assistant Ian Jones here with us today. Good afternoon, Ian.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. The report's been submitted. Really nothing remarkable at any of the numbers. They're all within range, so to speak. Obviously, the year-to-date numbers are significant differences, but that's just due to COVID. Other than that, as Barb alluded to earlier, we're kind of back in the full swing of things. We've got a few months of all the town and village courts going again. We do have both of our new ADAs fully in the mix, going to their courts. It's been a huge help, and has enabled us to get a lot more done at the office. But other than that, nothing to report. Any questions?
Any questions for the DA's office? Hearing none, thank you.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Next up, Brian. Gary, did you have a question for?
I just looking at the number of violations year-to-date compared to 2020. Again, I assume a lot of that is due to the pandemic. Is there any other,
No, I've heard it. That's it. That's the long and
a lot of
short.
pent-up violators?
Well,
What the
when the process eased themselves, were shut down to be able to bring in the violation after.
Thank you.
All right. Next, Brian Perkins, Staff DWI Coordinator. Good afternoon, Brian.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having me. I did submit my report. There isn't too much on there. I guess I'll just update a little bit on the Traffic Safety Board. We have scheduled the event to hand out the winners' bikes from the bike drawing. So that's going to be next Wednesday at 6 o'clock at the Hornell Walmart. We do have to go out of county to get bikes because unless somebody else has a place in county that can get us bikes on hand, I'd be happy to know. We've been looking. But certainly anyone's welcome to join us for that. Victim impact panels are going to be back up and running. I don't think we're going to hit, I have in here that we have a limit of 40 participants. We're not going to hit that one on this one just yet. We have started to see some more of the forms coming back in now that sentencing has been happening. Right out of the gate, they were kind of, we got a few of them like real quick that first week, and I was like, uh-oh, if this pace keeps up, but it slowed down. So I'm assuming it'll still pick back up, and we'll see some more coming in, because I know there was a lot of DWI offenses over the course of the last several months, but until they all get caught up, we'll just deal with the ones that we have come into our office and go from there. Bike safety went well. I did go to Andover last week and did a presentation there again with a group of kids, and had a good time at the fair, and we're still rolling.
Well, I noticed every time I stopped by your booth at the fair. It appeared to be quite busy.
Yeah, we gave away a lot of helmets over there too, and a lot of information. It's a good partnership we have over there with Traffic Safety Board and the Stop BWI being a part of it, and with the bike safety and the helmets, and highway superintendents are there to give away the bikes. So there's a lot of different reasons that people would stop by our booth, and of course with the troopers right next door to us too. So
A good coalition.
I think so. One of my favorites. I don't play favorites.
Okay. Any questions for Brian? Judy?
Yes, I wanted to ask how much you give away at the fair?
Well, so we try to go between 8 and 10 a day, and we're there Monday through Friday with them. So that gets us up close to 50, right around in that ballpark. And I think I had to restock at one point. I know Monday our list was like 9. We were right in there. But Tuesday somehow there was only like 2 or 3, and then on Wednesday it was like 14. So I mean it kind of fluctuates a little bit there, but it's right around 50 helmets that we give during that week.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Anything else you wish to comment on?
Nope, don't
All
think
right.
so. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Next up is Robert Starks, Probation Director. Afternoon, Bob.
Good afternoon, everyone. You have my report in front of you, I believe. You can see our PINS cases have already exceeded last year's. I think the schools, some of the issues they had with, online learning and kids not showing up for those classes increased a few truancy referrals from the schools this past year, but so we've exceeded that.
Well, I suppose that's probably both a good and a bad thing. It's a good thing that they're making the referral to try to correct the behavior, but it's a bad thing that they have. It's necessary to begin with.
Yes, and it's kind of difficult to try to get some of that resolved. So hopefully everybody returns to in-person learning this school year. So,
Amen.
a couple things to just kind of highlight. We want to resume the Allegheny County Youth Court. We had a virtual meeting just to talk about where it's at. When we left it in the spring of 2020, of course, the pandemic hit, and then our coordinator that we had hired just weeks before that, in April or May, I forget which, he left to take a different job. So we have no coordinator. Of course, we had no court sessions because we really couldn't. So now we're at a position where we think we can resume, so we need to check on our funding sources. I had to, in the midst of reapplying to the United Way for funding, which we've gotten in the past few years, hopefully we'll get that. And also we need to start advertising for a new coordinator. So just to bring you up to speed on that, hopefully within the next couple of months we'll have a coordinator who then can go out and start recruiting youth to fill the youth court positions as judge and prosecutor and defense attorney and jurors and so on and so forth, because we certainly can, we've got some referrals we could be sending them. So we just need to get the mechanism back in place. So,
Do you anticipate an increase in demands for those services?
it's hard to say. I mean, it just depends on the number of juvenile delinquents that are referred to our office. So, we could, right now, as you can see, we're at 22 halfway, or a little more than halfway through the year, which compared to last year, we're at 52. So if the trend goes, we'll probably be less numbers this year than we had last year. But you never know. Never know when youth make those stupid mistakes and they meet us.
There you go.
So, and then also the Fatherhood Connection program that's come to Allegheny County. This is through a grant through, hopefully I'm not getting this wrong, but Allegheny County DSS, I think Steuben County is involved, and Cattaraugus County, to bring this program to the 3 counties. And it's basically a 13-week course, if you will, training series to help men primarily who have lost contact with their children for some reason or another, to go through this program. It's kind of like maybe a mentoring program. There's facilitators that help go through the program with these men, and hopefully they gain from it and have a better ability to, first of all, to be able to re-engage with their children and have contact, but also to become better fathers and better parents through that program. So I'm excited to see that the county is looking at this, because I think many a times we kind of lose sight of, fathers that, as my former boss used to say, he might not be the best husband, but doesn't necessarily mean he's not a good father. And certainly I think as men, we can all use the help, whatever help we can get. And so if we can provide that to these men, I think it's a good service. So it's, I think, already started a little bit in the county, but I think they're trying to make some improvements to it and start going a little stronger with it. So in case you hadn't heard anything about that, that's kind of in a nutshell what there is about that. So that's really about all I have to add today.
Okay, any questions for Bob? Mr. Decker?
Bob, was that program advertised in the papers or anything? I don't recall.
Not
seeing
that I'm
any.
aware of. You would check with Commissioner Kays. She's the one that kind of pointed it towards me and that I kind of learned about it. The man who developed the program is Reggie Cox from the Rochester area. Very vibrant speaker, individual. I believe is a pastor as well. So it's very, very sound program that he's put together. And they're operating in Monroe County and other counties, and the goal is to get to every county in New York State.
Okay, thank you.
Well, certainly sounds like a worthwhile program.
Yes.
Anything else for Bob? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, we have Gilbert Green, Weights and Measures Director. Afternoon, Gilbert.
Good afternoon. Hey, got my monthly report. Got my summer youth helper with me. Stand up, Gavin. That's what I ask him. What more can I ask for?
There you go.
Uh,
He does what you tell him to do, right?
Within reason.
Within reason.
Every once in a while, I test him, see if he wants to go off the grid. We've been pretty busy. Got almost all the, but in the next week, we'll have all the gas stations in the county done, at least once. Some of them had some failure. Some of their pumps are still getting checked out. Might have to go back for that. Got to help the Cattaraugus County new director do a bulk tank next week. He's never done one, so it's just in Maplehurst, so it's not too far away. And forgot to put on the my report that I did 2 days of public service for the 4-H, announcing at the fair for their market animals.
Oh, thank you. Any questions for Gilbert? Thank you.
Till next month.
All righty, thanks for Gilbert. Next is Rick Whitney, Sheriff.
There you go, old man.
Afternoon, Rick.
Good afternoon. I submitted my report, if you have any questions. Some of the things I'll note this month are, we did send nine children to the sheriff's camp this year. I sent them off on July 11th. We sent an honor guard for former Under Sheriff Bill Timberlake's funeral last Saturday. And as you can see at the Firemen's Convention, 2 of our dispatchers got Citizen of the Year awards, so.
Yes. Any questions for the sheriff on his report? Mrs. Hopkins?
Mr. Healy, like to ask the sheriff, to tell us a little bit more about Sheriff's Camp. Where is it located and how long does it last and what's the age and what is the
It's
purpose?
for children 9 to 12 that wouldn't normally get a chance to go to camp. It's up on the northern end of Cayuga Lake. They have several weeks of it. Each county gets to send kids for a week, but it lasts all the way through July and August. And it's just kind of, a lot of the sheriff's offices send counselors up, and they get to interact with the kids, and the kids get to realize that we're just like, we're good people. We're not like they always see or like sometimes they hear, and it's just good for the kids. And we actually have had, I think since I've been sheriff, we've had 2 of the kids who have went every year from 9 to 12 and then went on to become counselors at some
Okay.
point. So it's a good program.
Great. Thank you.
That's a long time program too, correct?
Yes, yes.
The only thing I'll comment on, you mentioned the Firemen's Association Awards on July 14th. And I also had a chance to attend those awards, and it was a very nice program that was
Yes,
put
it was.
together by the association. Any other comments? Mr. Harris?
Thanks, Sheriff. This is a 911 question. Maybe it's better suited for Jeff, I don't know. But has the dispatch center noticed a trend in EMS calls where they're getting more and more frequently having to get toned out multiple times for EMS?
Oh, yeah, I think it goes in with, I mean, I think it's going to improve, as Jeff said, they have quite a few EMTs, people that want to take the class. But yeah, in the last few years, it's become increasingly hard to get people in the fire departments and EMS because of all the training, and, people just don't have time anymore. So yeah, I've noticed that myself, that, I mean, I haven't really looked at it or had them do a study, but I've noticed just listening to my radio in the office that it seems like they're having to tone several times anymore.
How hard would it be to collect data like that and even if you could split it by departments, how often, say, MTS ends up taking a call that's been toned out multiple times to a local company, or is it MTS starting to take up more and more of a percentage of the overall BLS calls or ALS calls? I mean, how hard would it be to get that kind of information?
I don't think it would be that hard. I think we could do it, so.
Maybe, Mr. Chairman, I'd be interested in seeing some information on that in the next couple of months,
Okay.
just so we get a better idea of. if
All
we're-
right, sure, your office will work on that.
Yeah, I
sure.
think we can do that. Yep, no problem.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else for the sheriff? Anything else you wish to highlight?
No, I think that's about it.
Okay. No MOEs this month?
Nope, nothing this month.
Okay. Well, then we'll continue on. Any old business? You want to stay up there for a minute, Rick? Any old business? Okay. New business. All right, the chairman's got some new business. Under new business, we're gonna go into executive session to discuss personnel issue. So I'll entertain a motion for that. Mr. Harris, seconded by Mr. Decker. All in favor, say aye. Anybody opposed? Carried.